Badlands, explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, the Russians.
Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this. The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots. Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. How is my co-host sleeping these days?
You son of a bitch. Little whiskey under the gums.
You should try that on the baby.
Yes. Well, there's too many people watching this stream now. I have not tried that on the baby yet. Maybe I'll slip some into the bottle when I'm on a night shift after the show. Been a rough start to the week. This feels like it's Friday. Yeah, Mrs. Bright and I got food poisoning the same day. At the end, right after I got off the air Sunday night, I joined her in the joys of food poisoning. And with
That's
a
cute.
7.5-week-old, that was not good. So, yeah, just playing catch up, just stumbling my way through.
Well, that's good. That's parenting. So,
You know, Chris always says that the horrors persist, but so does he. And I got to tell him, I don't think there's that many horrors going on with Chris right now. But
you don't know that.
Sunday, Monday, there were some horrors going on in the Bright household, and we persisted.
See, the way Chris says it's hard to distinguish if he's actually saying horrors or not.
That's true.
So
They do persist, though.
we don't know exactly what he's saying, but we don't need to compare horrors, okay?
Right. Yeah. One horror is as good as another, as they say.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a tough word. Speaking of tough words, today I recorded like a promo clip for my Daily Herald show. Like we do all our shows live, and I mess up speaking stuff all the time.
Yeah. I know.
But I had like a 7-minute clip of me just making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake over a scripted segment just to get like a 25-second clip. I saved it. I was almost going to like compile it and like
try to
put
plan
it out.
stuff out.
What was that?
I said that's your problem. You try to think about stuff and plan it out, and
it was insane. I thought I was having a stroke or something because I just kept messing up. Anyway, we got lots to discuss tonight. We're going to talk about a quick personnel change. We're going to get into what else? Oh, I'm going to rant a little bit about Anna Polina Luna. You guys should get used to it because
speaking of persisting,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I did say, and then we're going to talk about honeypots, not having to do with APL, separate. That's what I even said on my Twitter post. The Epstein log stuff is coming out tomorrow. We're going to talk about the FBI, some geopolitical stuff, peace deals. I don't know. We'll see where the night takes us.
Right.
And see what your stamina's like after experiencing such rough sleep this week. But anyway, let's start things off with our first sponsor of tonight's show, and then we'll get right into it. And don't let me forget to talk about our Bitcoin sponsor later on. But first up, we got Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance. Are you paying too much for your health insurance? For over 30 years, David Becker and his son Jesse of Mid-Atlantic Business Alliance have been helping small businesses and individuals get the best possible PPO coverage at affordable rates. Working with private carriers allows year-round enrollment opportunities to save money and get the best possible insurance. The cost of medical insurance can often be like a second mortgage payment, so it's understandable that some people try to cut corners and save money with HMOs or MediShares. They are called MediShares because the member shares the liability of the member's claims. HMOs only cover in-network charges and leave an unlimited liability in the event of a large claim. There are proven ways to get the lowest possible rates without sacrificing coverage. If you are stuck paying for your own insurance, why not give David and Jesse a call to see if they can help you too? Call to get a free quote at 609-577-8557 or visit badlandsmedia.tv/Becker. And here's the thing, guys. If you are paying for your own insurance, you are obligated to at least get a quote to see if you can save money. Because worst case scenario, you make the phone call, it can't save you money, nothing changes. Worst case scenario, nothing changes. Best case scenario, not only do you save money on your insurance, but you get to talk to David, who's an awesome dude, been a Badlander since day one. He's going to be at GART. I mean, I think
he's been at every GART.
I think so too.
He's probably one of the only people besides you that's been at every GART, including Badlands hosts.
Maybe. That's probably true.
You know what? We should if we can verify it, and I know somebody who could probably verify the guest lists of GART events, we should start like a survivor pool of consecutive GARTs.
We should have done that from day one.
Yeah, but I mean, we can retrofit it.
Yeah,
because somebody has been at all. What is it? This will be the 7th.
I think hasn't J-Tree been to everyone too? There's been a few that have been to every single one.
It doesn't count if you're a host, or if you're on stage at all or anything like that.
Well, you just mentioned me.
No, I don't mean you. I mean like Becker, people who are the ticketed
Ty and
public.
JC. Oh, yeah. I could go. We have a good list of people that have been.
But
to
that's
quite
a good
few.
survivor pool. That's a quality survivor pool. We might be going the rest of our lives with that survivor pool.
We could.
And
if you are the
eventually we'll
survivor,
have to start literally killing each other to win.
If you are the survivor of the survivor pool, we will give you a 5% discount on future GART tickets.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, we should do something for that.
So
like a gold sweatshirt and like a swag bag or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea though. Survivor pool.
50 years from now at GART, whatever the math would be there.
We're gonna have to do like some sort of cane fencing to determine the winner between Ty and J-Triet.
Yeah.
Except he's kind of a host now. He's on the promo.
He doesn't count.
He's on the promo thing, so he's out.
Yeah.
Anyway, your wife's in the chat and she's already yelling.
I know.
John going rogue always.
Out of her mind.
My bad. Anyway, okay. Well, let's start things off with this, and we'll address. I don't know if I'd call it the elephant in the room, but this has been out now for a couple days. But for those who aren't aware, I also announced on my show this morning. But it's true, Patrick Gunnels is no longer part of the Badlands Network. Okay, so he's not like on our website doing stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he does guest appearances now and then. He's still a sponsor. He was my first friend in the movement. He was the guy who started reading my threads. We've been working together for a long time. I consider him a good friend. I was in his wedding. I'm assuming if I ever get married again, he'll be in mine. He just decided it was best for him.
Go to gay weddings. It's one of those things about Patrick. Continue.
Have you seen the shirts he wears?
Yeah, that's fair.
He goes to gay weddings. Just gay. He decided that it was best for him to not put so much focus on Badlands. And so, like, here's the thing: like, everybody in Badlands is independent, and it's kind of forced that way. The way Badlands is set up, like, my ultimate goal is to make it so that everybody can make enough money on Badlands to work it full time, but that's just not the reality of our situation based on the censorship and everything these last 4 years. And so because
on the YouTube algo,
so because of that, everybody is encouraged to do things on their own. Like, everybody has their own Substack or channel or all these things, and they kind of do things outside of Badlands. That's highly encouraged. But again, because of the way it's set up, like, not everybody's making extremely great money on Badlands yet. Keyword yet. And with Patrick's, lotion business, he decided it was best for him in that business to, reach a wider audience. And I've defended him since day one, more than I've defended anybody else. I've gotten a lot of emails about Patrick. And I'll defend him in this decision too. Like, his wishes to move on, fully respect it. We wish him well. Excited for him. And yeah, we can't force anybody to stay in Badlands forever. This is the thing too, because every time there's a change at Badlands, people freak out. We get messages and it's like drama. It's a conspiracy, all these things. It's just not the case. We wish we could force people to stay at gunpoint, but we can't. Like any business, there's going to be change. People are going to come and go. That's life. You'll probably see more people go than we do like coming, adding. And that's more so because of my own PTSD of being burned in the past. And it's very hard to find people that you can trust that have integrity. But that's where we're at. So it's true. And we continue to move forward.
Yeah, I just had Patrick on the narrative a couple weeks ago, I think. Yeah, 2 episodes or 3 episodes ago. And it was a great episode, great discussion. I was at Patrick's wedding as well. I wasn't in the wedding. I didn't make the cut, but I was there. I saw the professional dance moves. They're everything that you could imagine. Wishing him luck. As you said, I mean, there's always, anytime this stuff happens, there's the first time ever screen names that come into chat and just attack us for 2 weeks, and then they go away forever. It happens every time.
Go away until the next person.
Yeah, until the next person leaves. But yeah, I mean, this is the way it is. I think it's jarring when that first happens. Keeping.
What would Cam know about that?
If we bring Cam into Badlands, we will keep him against his will in the bottom of the ship, I think. Yeah, but I think it's the double-edged sword of what you started here and what kind of came together. I mean, it's funny, like it's sometimes it feels like it's been forever, and then it's only been 3 years, 2.5 years or something
like that.
But when you mentioned the trust thing too, in terms of not just like constantly expanding the team, that's a real thing. I mean, you guys from the outside have seen some of that, and you become a target and everything. None of us thought we were going to be. John obviously had a target on his back even before Badlands started. And, I don't think that there's any undoing that. There's not like all of a sudden a way that you suddenly trust people, even if they don't have negative intentions. This group kind of came together very literally before Badlands was a thing.
Yeah.
And obviously Patrick was part of that. And there's a trust inherent in being there before the thing is a thing that just can't ever exist after the thing is a thing to the same degree, if that makes sense. So we'll always love Patrick, and, is what it is. I'm sure he'll be around. But in terms of the future and everything, and in terms of people, you're all allowed to feel how you want about everybody at the company, everybody who's not at the company. Like John said, I can only speak for myself. As many of you know, I run my own Substack. I've been finding myself ironically doing more of that with the baby because I'm doing it at 3 a.m. when there's no shows going on. But, support everybody you want to support. And like John said about the financial stuff, speaking of tonight's sponsor, David Becker, who is a Badlander, this is why all of us have such literal affection for the sponsors who have been there from the start, because they're Badlanders and they're sponsors.
Yep.
And that's the only way that we've been able to do any of this from the beginning, along with you guys. As I just saw Rumble Rant come in, we are literally funded by you and literally funded by sponsors who reach out to us. We're not getting algorithm boosted or anything like that. So we appreciate all of it for now and in the future.
Yeah, and I having access to like the payroll numbers and everything, it's pretty even between, in terms of support, like how much. I guess it's more rants. The one of the best ways you can do to support us is, right off the bat, is just like liking our content and sharing it around to your friends and family, like helping us grow our audience. That's grow our community. That's number one. We always want to see growth, but in terms of like financial support, supporting our sponsors, absolutely, and then supporting the shows you like the shows you enjoy. The hosts keep 100% of the rants, minus what Rumble takes their cut. And so if you want to directly support people, that's the way to do it. Or even I do encourage people to support the people they like outside of Badlands too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Bernie Bright has a Substack. It's not any good. I don't subscribe to it, but if you guys feel inclined to, do it. Support the people you like. It's a great way to keep them afloat. Anyway,
including former Badlands people that you want to follow and everything. There's no like black mark.
No. Well, there is. We just don't talk about them.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, let's move on from this. I did see a comment in here. Who's going to read for you now, John? That's been a burning question for me. This is what I've been losing sleep over. I'm just going to have to start doing it myself. And you guys are just going to have to suffer through all of the incorrect ways that I say and read things. And we're going to grow together. You guys are going to get thicker skin. And I'm maybe someday going to not mumble so much. We shall see. No promises. Okay, let's get in.
All of us people.
Let's get into the Anapolina Luna stuff because.
Oh, sorry, John. Ash just said in the chat, and I know we say this sometimes. Oops. Not can you read at 1.5x, but yes, if you watch this in the past tense, you can. So Ash, with Baby Bright here, Ash has taken on a much bigger load on the Badlands Substack. I've never promoted it enough. I always forget about it. I'm still working on that over there as the editor. Ghost works on that with commentary. If you guys go to badlands.substack.com, 5 days a week, there's the news brief. There's original commentary from Ash, Ghost, and myself on there. You'll get a different spin on it. It's all the news stories from the day before. Sometimes they cover stuff that's not on the shows. And, it's great work. It's all free, but you can support that team. And when you support that team, you are supporting the people working on it. So we very much appreciate that. And there are original editorials over there every week as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Also got to give a shout out. Rumble Rick just gave a bunch of memberships, 20 memberships, gifted 20 memberships. So thank you so much, man. I was actually talking with him a little bit before the show because we were having issues with some of our other streams. We had to reestablish new ones. And they're on top of it, instantly responding, helping us out, making sure things are good to go. Obviously checking in here. We appreciate Rumble and all their support these last
while fighting Brazil.
4 years. Yeah, while fighting with the Baldy from Brazil.
Super
that's so
villain.
funny.
Yeah.
No,
All
but
right,
thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. And also, I did see a question about what we're going to do with the brief moving forward, because that was like Patrick's primary routine show. I'll have an announcement for that. It's like we're going to go through this week. Next week, we're taking off because of GART. The week after that, there's going to be a change, but I think it's going to be one you're excited about. The brief will still be put out. I don't know if we're going to have a show about the brief because we have the Badlands Daily Show and the far superior Daily Herald Show. So you'll be able to get news from those two, and we'll maybe just start pulling stuff from the brief. But we're going to have like again, I don't know if I want to say it. So yeah, I mean, we're already talking about, we're going to do like a Badlands Live 9 to 5 type thing where we're going to have just one show that's live going through random stuff all day, whether it's live coverage of Congress or, live coverage
just
of a
watching
presser.
Lord of the Rings if we want.
Well, not stupid stuff like that, but just kidding. No, just stuff that you guys would be interested in. Because like right now we're doing, separate streams for everything. This way, if you know something's happening, you just tune in to the Badlands Live channel, and we'll have content going. So
sweet. You
can expect that to come soon, and hosts will be on throughout to add commentary when they can. The hardest part is going to be doing the logistics of making sure the streams are set up and good to go, but we'll figure it out as we go. We always do. And
big shout out. As usual, I can't confirm or deny anything John just said. Neither can he. But he said it. So
well, that's not true.
It's potentially
definitely happening. Bernie Bright likes to pretend he has a clue about what's going on. Or
I don't, but I know you don't either.
No, that's not true at all. So big shout out to Ash and Ghost and Jessica, because I know they're working on that, and they do a lot of great work behind the scenes. So we're gonna make it happen.
That'll make the Substack even more unique because it won't be doubled content. So subscribe to the Substack, and yeah.
Okay. Well, now can I move on, or do you have anything else that you want to?
I mean, we could talk about Lord of the Rings since it came up organically.
I'd rather not.
No, although, we can continue. We can start the show.
Randomly the other day, I don't know what it was, because I don't like watch much unless I'm like going to bed. Then I'll put something on to watch. And I had a weird, like, I don't know if I saw something on Twitter or what it was, but I was like, I should watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And then I stopped myself only because of like you and the other D-bags and Badlands who constantly
You've seen it though, right?
Oh yeah.
But was it a long time ago?
Multiple times. I don't remember the last time I watched it. It was a fairly long while ago, I'd say. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Let's move into stuff people actually came to watch.
Power level drops the longer you go without rewatching it. It's kind of a known malady, but
I don't know if that's true. Okay, so you guys know I've been venting about Anna Paulina Luna ever since she launched her task force thing. The super real, super important, definitely not like a grifting task force. Been calling her out since day one, been getting a lot of crap for it. I'm becoming more and more right, I personally think, in my theory that she's the one who asked for this. She wanted to like ride Trump's coattails on the D class. They have no D class authority, all these things. You guys have heard the deal. Yesterday, Congress came out with this budget thing, and maybe we can even riff on this for a little bit. The whole continuing resolution. I don't know how much you know is going on with this. It's not even a resolution. It's a reconciliation package where they come out, and Anna Paulina Luna has this post where she says, let me read this. It's a picture. It's kind of grainy. And the reason it's a picture is because she deleted this post because it was a lie. She didn't even know what she voted on last night. But this is what she said. She said, "Congratulations, America. Tonight we finally put an end to tax on tips, tax on overtime." Insane. That was not in there. We'll also pass all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. She ended up deleting this. It got community noted. I talked about it on my show this morning. The fact that she put this out in the first place blows my mind. Because how could you not know that the bill you voted on, that you came to Twitter to grift on, got who knows how many views, didn't even include what you said it included. This happens all the time, guys. These people have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
She's a
somebody
great
must
example.
be her talent agency must have saw it trending on Twitter and told her to post that or something.
Maybe. But then, so she's been, her D-class committee, she's been sending letters, trying to get information on stuff. She sent 2 letters to the DOJ, and it even says in this letter, February 11th and February 19th, and they never responded. So a couple days ago, she quote or tagged AG Pam Bondi on Twitter. It was like, hey, how come we haven't seen these Epstein files yet? When are you going to get back to us? We need all this information. No response. Okay, today she gets a letter from the DOJ. Dear Chairwoman Luna, thank you for your letters to the DOJ dated 11th and 19th. We are sending an identical response to the other member who joined your letters. In your letters, you requested briefings about any documents in the department's possession relating to the investigation and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein and about the declassification of records regarding the assassinations of President JFK, Senator RFK, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Pursuant to Executive Order 14176, you also requested written confirmation of the date and location of those records release. Now listen to this part, because this is the part where he doesn't answer anything she asked for, doesn't even give her the time of day, pretty much blows her off. The integrity of criminal investigations and prosecutions is essential to every component of the department's mission to uphold the rule of law, keep our nation safe, and protect civil rights. The department remains committed to meeting its legal record-keeping obligations as it pursues that mission. We are reviewing your requests and look forward to engaging further to accommodate your oversight and legislative needs. We hope this information is helpful. Please do not hesitate to contact this office if we may provide any additional assistance regarding this or any other matter. So completely ignore what she actually asked for, right? Doesn't say anything. We'll update you later. They're responding out of courtesy, who knows why. But what's interesting about this is on the same day she got sent this letter, she posted on Twitter, Pam Bondi goes on Jesse Waters, and this is what she has to say.
You said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay. Well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely. And
so let me finish up my Anna Polina Luna thought, and then you can comment on that if you want, and then we should talk about the Epstein release. But what I find interesting is, even though they sent this letter to APL the same day, Pam Bondi comes out and publicly tells the world, like, hey, we're going to be releasing these tomorrow. They could have told Anna Polina Luna that if they took her seriously or thought her task force was worth its weight in gold, whatever.
She's running more covert ops than Pam Bondi, I think.
That's probably the case. She's definitely running ops. But you know what I mean? Like, even the DOJ is not taking her fake task force seriously. And the reason I'm harping on this, and some people just don't seem to grasp my gripe with this, is we're all about efficiency. And I've said this a million times. I'm going to keep saying it. We're all about saving money. And what they're doing, what that committee is doing, is a very obvious grift. Like, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. It's a waste of time. All it is for is clicks on Twitter. And Anna Polina Luna is trying to become
probably OnlyFans subs.
Who knows? Maybe it's a joke. And if we want to be serious about saving money and not wasting taxpayer dollars and having our Congress actually work for us, then they have to be actually working for us. And this is a great example of a committee, a task force, whatever. It's not a real committee. It's a subcommittee with no declassification authority, no subpoena power or anything. Then we got to get this stuff abolished. We got to keep demanding that this thing be folded up and put away. They shouldn't be spending taxpayer money going to Dallas to investigate a crime. They shouldn't be holding hearings. That is a waste of money when they could be doing actual work for the people. This is a joke. I'm not going to drop that ball unless Trump comes out and is like, I asked Anna Paulina Luna to run this fake committee. Then I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll rethink my position on this. But he hasn't done that. I don't think he's going to do that because I think she asked for this and she got it. And she's exposed herself as a fraud along the way. The fact she had to delete a post was so much confirmation for me. It's time to wrap this thing up. Don't even waste any more time. You're embarrassing yourself. And I posted on here, create a task force on weaponization of media against Trump supporters. I will fully support you in that, which I totally would. And I can even give them their first target, Mike Rothschild. That's what they should be doing. Like that or anything else that is actually doing something new and something they can actually do. This isn't it. Not anymore.
Yeah,
but anyway.
I totally agree. And I think I'm going to simultaneously defend the Q op, which seems adjacent to this, and condemn what I see as the type of people who took the wrong lessons from it. I've been saying this a lot lately, but this is a good example of it. I'm not saying that this is the majority of Q followers, as I always have to caveat. I say the most popular thing I ever wrote was about the Q op, despite everything else I tried to write after that. So I'm a big believer in it. Think it was a real plan. John's wrote about this. We talk about this a lot. We all believe the Q drops were legit and
a white hat op.
Yes,
like nobody's questioning
100%.
That.
Like, and somehow that still gets like lost in the shuffle. So the reason I say this in reference to Anna Paulina Luna is there are a subset of people, and some of them I quite like. Some of them show up to Garts, and I think are earnest, well-meaning people who will attack anybody who questions, as Chris would call them, television characters like Anna Paulina Luna.
Questions anything.
Questions anything. And the reason I want to draw a line there, a distinction, is to say, in the Bitcoin community, there is a saying, don't trust, verify. That's what the Bitcoin community is based on, right? If you talk to a real Bitcoin maximalist, they will tell you, don't trust what I'm saying, study this thing, verify it for yourself, and decide what you think. The strength of the Q drops, as Stormy and Abs will tell you on their show, was that the Q drops seeded information into the public mind, open source information, and told Anons to go looking for the answers to the questions that were posed. It was an open source intelligence drop, and it was highly effective and highly positive. And in essence, the theme behind the Q drops, the philosophy of the military operation that we believe was going on, was don't trust what the drops are saying, despite trust the plan. Verify the plan yourself, right? The thing is, people like Luna come along, and this is the equivalent of stolen valor that gets veterans like CanCon and Alpha furious, I'm sure more furious than almost anything else, when they get to come along and just say little zingers after Trump becomes president, and as Chris would say, cheerlead. You could read the Q drops for 10 minutes and just repeat lines from them, and unfortunately there is a subset of followers of the operation who will not just cheerlead you, but condemn anybody who questions you, no matter how many times you are found to be fraudulent, a fraudulent OnlyFans wannabe. So that's why it's important to draw a distinction between the two. When a fake Marine comes out and talks about his tour in Afghanistan, do you condemn a real Marine for calling him out? No. So for people that think that the Q drops were legit and that there's a military plan and you're behind Trump and you're behind the operation and you think that white hats are in control, the last thing you should be defending is these fucktards who come out of nowhere in 2025 when it's the safest it's ever been to do so and tell you that they are going to bestow upon you the sacred tablets of truth that you weren't able to find on your own. So just, don't do the thing that Republicans did during the Bush era where they attacked liberals who were saying, hey guys, I think maybe the war in the Middle East, we shouldn't be there, right? Like, don't let the Q drops legacy become that. And I don't think it will. We can transition into the good stuff that's seeded in the Epstein topic. But in that topic, I just think people need to bifurcate their minds and understand that the drops can be real and the plan can be real. And people who just say quotes from them for Twitter retweets are not necessarily the same thing.
If you want responsible Q posting, the closest you'll get, the best you'll get, is from Eye of the Storm. And maybe that's a little biased because it's on Badlands.
It's the best Q show that there is.
But my when it comes to any of this stuff, like I fully believe there is some sort of plan going on. I don't claim to know what the plan exactly is. I think devolution was fully in play. I don't know which phase we're on. I speculate things all the time. I don't know. I'm not in the room. None of us are. None of us are in the room with Trump as any of these things are being rolled out. But I do know we're in an info war. How much stuff is fake, real? I have no idea. Don't know. But I do know my role, and I think everybody's role in an info war, isn't to just sit by and always cheer for the same things from the same side, from the same group of people. Like I even had a Twitter response to one of my comments today from somebody that was like, geez, whose side are you on? And it's
like questioning something means that you're on the deep state side now.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I responded, I was like, well, I'm on the as America first as it gets side, especially when that comes to calling out Congress people who are wasting my tax dollars and our time by just doing social media bullshit. Like when did we lose our role in the info war of info warring? Like that's the whole point.
The Q drops were meant to activate info warriors, first principles, direct path reasoners, not people who sit back and when a random Congress thought comes along, start just, parroting everything they say. Obviously, that's a low-hanging fruit and an easy version of this. But again, maybe it'll turn out to be legit, right? But it's just the fact of the matter that you can't. It's literally the opposite of what was intended by that operation. And as we said, the reason we bring up Stormy and Abs, obviously we know them and we're friends with them, but they trust the plan while digging into what they think it means, admitting when they get stuff right and wrong. They don't just.
Let me give a good example here. Example here. The continuing resolution bill that we had, like in December, November, whatever it was, the first bill that came out was like 1,600 pages long. It was ridiculous. It was bloated. It was full of BS. And that clearly wasn't the bill that they wanted to pass at the end of it, right? If Trump had any control, he got the bill that he wanted at the end of the day. He could have just came out and had that bill to begin with. But no, they put out the first bill.
Right.
And why would they do that if that wasn't the bill they wanted to end up with? Well, maybe they wanted people to dig through it and cause a shitstorm on Twitter about all the bloated BS that was in there so people could see what they were trying to pass in that bill. And would that have happened had we just sat by and cheered and waited? If everybody on social media just said like, oh, great, we got the bill. This must be what Trump wanted. Let's just sit and wait. Would we have gotten it changed? Maybe. I'm sure they would have figured it out somehow, but that means we did nothing to help it along. I actually feel like we personally had a hand in that. And the only reason I do is because we participated in the info warring. Anyway,
I think it's a great little side topic because I think that's a great point. And to bring it back to Q, I think what you're hitting on is, you weren't following those drops while they were going on. You've obviously been super exposed to it in the aftermath, but there are so many people who followed the Q drops or who maybe watch shows about them now who will use the term the Socratic method and not actually absorb what that is. And I think it's exactly what you just described. The Socratic method is not meant to tell you some truth and then have you sit around. The whole reason that the drops were there seeding information is because the drops were there telling Anons, go look and see what you find. And whatever you find, we're going to be here and we're going to, they used to call them crumbs on the boards, right? We're going to drop breadcrumbs for you, but you guys are the ones who have to do the work. It wasn't Q who told Anons about the Epstein op. It seeded the idea of Jeffrey Epstein, and Anons put the picture together. So exactly what you're saying about Trump, and Chris talks about this a lot, right? With the feedback loop between Trump and his supporters. I think that it's probable that there are break glass in case of emergency sort of stopgaps that patriots have, but they don't want to use those. They want the timeline to accelerate, and they want us to participate in that, right? And again, a lot of people in our audience understand this, but this is something that we've got to keep in mind, you know, and I keep using the word, I know I've been using the word a lot, but Trump is using the word mandate and Elon is using the word mandate every day. Every day. Mandate is not passive, it's active. So you've got to keep that feedback loop going between Trump and you, and not just sit back and watch things happen.
And here's the other aspect of this too, is like, I still fully believe our elections are totally fake and bullshit. I don't think any of these people in our current Congress are elected legitimately. And so why should we expect them to be doing things legitimately on our behalf? You know what I mean? Like that's a part of this too. It's stupid. We got to be calling that stuff out. Otherwise, what's the point of this? Like if we don't have a role in anything in the info war, there's no point in us even having a Badlands network. There's just no point. And I refuse to believe that. And I don't believe that. And like we like to consider ourselves like at the ahead of the game. We're not always, you know, in some respects we are, some respects we're not. It's fine. Not everybody has to agree with that. But even this upcoming GART that we're going to be doing, we're going to be switching up how we do our panels. Instead of talking about stuff, you know, looking back and reflecting on certain topics and things, we're going to try to be more, you know, goal oriented. Chris is the one, as you see here, Trump said our elections were ridiculous today. Yes, he did.
Are we allowed
Chris is the one who he had a good idea. I'm not sure if we'll be able to execute it. We're going to try our best, and if it flops, we'll change it for future GARTs. But it's a really good concept and idea, and it's much more of a, okay, what's the future look like? How do we get there? And what's our role in that? And I think it can be really motivational and educational and collaborative in figuring out how we can become more active and actually fixing things in our country instead of just watching by and waiting for other people to fix it for us. Trump giving the government back to we the people is not that. It's not us just sitting by and waiting for the crumbs to fall on our lap after everybody else does all the work for us. We can affect the change. We can, and we are, and we'll continue to do so. And we only do that by not just sitting on our hands. I guess cheerleading, you don't sit on your hands, right? You hold pom-poms and do things. Right. So technically you're not sitting on your hands, but whatever. Anyway,
you know,
can one thing?
Yeah,
you should have the ads pulled up if you don't, because I'm gonna have you read the next ad so I can go get my water because I'm already feeling. But anyway, but you can make your point as. Oops. That was just forewarning.
All right. Well, to Chris's idea with the forward-thinking stuff at GART, not only do I think it'll make for good discussions on the panels, but you know, the GARTs we've talked about are great community things. I mean, that's really, everybody who's been to one will tell you that's the thing. It's getting together with people in this community. But I think that having that kind of a mission statement at these GARTs that aligns it more with the name, right? Restoration Tour. We're not watching the American Restoration. We're trying to be a part of it, right? Isn't everybody who's if you're watching this show, yeah, you're watching a show you like, but you're not, it's not like watching the news. You're in some way, if you're in this chat or watching this, participating in what you see as an American Restoration. So I think that kind of a concept can spill over into the audiences around GART and become these incubators, right? Like every globalist organization under the sun has think tanks, right? Why don't American people have think tanks? Why can't we have think tanks? So the best think tanks are just going to be American people talking to each other about what they think the future should be, instead of like outsourcing this shit to everybody, right? So that it's time to start moving in that direction. And it's going to be messy to figure out how to do that. But this is the fun stuff. And then one more point on the Patriot Plan side of things. I think of it like...
Before you go to Patriot Plan things, I want to address what you just said before I forget. When we do these conferences and we try to figure out like what it is we're going to be doing moving forward and what our role in it is, we're not claiming to have all the answers.
Right.
But we're at least trying to. We're trying to do something that we feel is actually productive and something we can participate in. Because I can't imagine a scenario where our role in this is just to stand by and celebrate.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
And I just got us branded by the, if the media wants to attack us, they can now say that we claim to be the official think tank, all of you in the chat, of the American Restoration. So now they can brand us that way. But my point about, Patriot plans and everything, I think of it like a kinetic battlefield in morale, right? Like if you're thinking about Leonidas and the 300 Spartans, or you're thinking about any kind of modern warfare, real or fictional, anything like that. A good leader that inspires morale, like let's say Donald Trump is our analog here, he doesn't inspire his troops and then say like, we won, everybody, before the battle happens, right? He inspires them by giving them hope that they can win, but they still have to take the field and win. But they feel good having leadership behind them that has their back, right? And I think like it's so simple, but to me, that was one of the major points of the whole QOP of Trump, of even what we're seeing right now. I think at the start of the Golden Age administration, it's like, listen, we're with you. The devolution sandwich, as you've talked about, yeah, we are with you, but you got to meet us halfway or more than halfway, and we can't be afraid of that shit. I think it should be very motivating. It should be very positive, and it's going to be messy and it's going to be fun. Like that we know this shit's possible now, so we just got to make it all happen.
Yep. Here's this is the only time I'll ever probably show a wild boar thing on the screen.
Wow.
And it's not perfect, but he says Badlands started with being a brand about hope. Now take it to actions and solutions. I feel like we've always tried to be about actions and solutions, but yeah, I know a lot of people found hope in what the stuff we were talking about, but there's some actuals there as well, but you're right. We're trying to be activated here. So I'm going to grab my water. Why don't you read this next sponsor?
All right. Our friends at River BTC are announcing Bitcoin interest on cash. Now, US dollars in your River account will earn a high yield interest rate that can be paid in Bitcoin. With the price of groceries, mortgages, and tuitions on a steep rise, people are now looking at a retirement age of 80 instead of 60. It's all because dollars are losing value at a record pace. The challenge is in finding a way to hold onto your dollar while still getting ahead. That's where River Bitcoin comes in. River Bitcoin's interest on cash protects your dollars and FDIC insurance while offering you the option to reap the potential gains of Bitcoin. Over the past 2 years, you would have earned 2 times the rate of most high-yield savings accounts and 16 times the rate on the national average savings account with Bitcoin interest on cash. Get started at badlandsmedia.tv/river. Move your cash to River today. Start earning a real interest rate with Bitcoin. That's badlandsmedia.tv/river. And yes, I am aware that Bitcoin is down. What is it in the last day? Down 5% today. I think it was down 5% yesterday. I saw a viral meme. Now your mileage may vary, whatever you think of Bitcoin. It was from some well-known maximalist that I don't know who he is, but he said, fast forward to the year 2030, Bitcoin crashes from 1 million to 980,000, right? And that sounds ridiculous to a lot of people, except if you think about Bitcoin circa 2015, they would think it was very silly that people are worried about it crashing from 100,000 to 85,000. So either way, River's good people. And I've said this before about River. Something I learned about them that's really cool is Bitcoin has proof of Bitcoin reserves. So the thing that Fort Knox does not, River, Fort Knox does not have proof of gold reserves. River has proof of Bitcoin reserves. So whatever they are selling, you can verify that they hold on their balance sheet. So good stuff.
Also, Bitcoin's not down. It's just giving you a buying opportunity. That's all it is. It's a way for you to acquire cheaper sats. And I would not giving you financial advice, but I would encourage you to take the opportunities when they're given. Why not? Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Epstein release, and maybe we should watch this clip again because I mean, they're going to release some stuff tomorrow. We have no idea what it is. If I'm being just practical and myself and kind of the guy who typically rains on parades of people, I'm not going to come out here and expect this to be like the bombshells we've wanted.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's a rug pull. I'm hopeful that's not the case. It'd be great if it's not the case, but I'm not I'm not going to lose sleep if we don't get what we expect and want to see tomorrow. So we'll just see what happens. But this is what she said again, releasing the files tomorrow on Jesse Waters.
You said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk.
I just want to note the tan disparity here between Jesse and Pam is very similar to the tan disparity we got going on between me and you.
Oh my God, that's devastating. It's my lighting. It's the lighting, bro.
Sure.
When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
So that's how she first said it. We have more to this clip yet. But the first thing she said, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. She doesn't clarify what it is in their first, attempt at breaking the news. So just keep that in mind.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well,
along with his co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for
sure.
He
sure did.
So she knows what's in the full scope of these Epstein files.
Yeah.
She knows what's being released. She knows it's devastating for the people on the flight logs. And the fact that she knows that to me, it's like I don't know if they're going to release all the damning, devastating stuff tomorrow, because if it's what we think it is, wouldn't that mean that there should be some more people getting locked up at some point? Are there active investigations going on here? The fact that she only said some information coming out and then she had to be asked to clarify what was on these lists. I don't know. I'm tempering my expectations. Oh, no, I have a picture for that. Hold on. Temper Expectations by Charles Dickens and Patel Patriot. Yep. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and comment on that?
I think this is the rare case, I think, where it's not supposed to be a doomer take to say to temper your expectations with this. In fact, I've said before that besides the Saudi Arabia purge, which really clued me into the idea that the Q drops were legit, what really activated me in the info war was Pizzagate. And all of this stuff, that leads to Epstein Island and everything. But I think it's reasonable to expect that this is going to follow a process. Like you said, there's legal implications in terms of if there's ongoing investigations or any of that kind of stuff. But it has been referenced a million times as well that there's psychological implications. I'm a truth maximalist. I believe that if what's theorized about the Epstein flight logs is true, with some of the big names is true, then I want all of that stuff released. But I'm not going to freak out if and when I think that stuff doesn't happen tomorrow on the 27th. I think we're probably going to see like a Prince. They're going to give us something. But I'm not sure we're going to get the blow the roof off type of stuff yet. I think that what we're going to see, I think the scope of this at the beginning is more going to be explaining to the American people, like Normieville, the mechanism through which this worked. And I think you and I might have been talking about this before the show, or maybe during our previous segment, the why. I think that's something that a lot of normies, a lot of you in chat probably have had the experience of trying to Epstein pill people in your normal lives and trying to spread that out to a wider web of what we talk about in conspiracy world. And they can't take that leap because they don't understand why politicians, etc., would be involved in this stuff. So What I'm hopeful we start seeing with these disclosures out of Bondi's office is that kind of seeding. If they start, and that could be the mechanism of why you don't start with those massive names, because that's going to hit people with cognitive dissonance. Where if you start by saying like, hey, this operation's very real, here's how it functioned, this was the intention of the operation by Epstein and Maxwell. And then if you've gotten Normieville to really engage with what the operation was and who was behind it, maybe that paves the way for, oh, by the way, these people were involved in it, later on.
Yeah. So a couple of things here. When you look back at the letter the DOJ sent Anna Polina Luna, where they pretty much brushed her off and told her to go sit back down, they say the integrity of criminal investigations and prosecutions is essential to every component of the department's mission to uphold the rule of law. To me, that's a little signal of, okay, well, there's still some potential ongoing criminal investigations and prosecutions. So if we're speculating on that being the case, which this is all that is, speculation, we can assume that anybody that's going to end up in jail over their involvement with the Epstein stuff isn't going to be released tomorrow. But looking at a little game theory and maybe strategy and just the fact that they announced that some information is going to be coming out tomorrow, what does that do for, one, the people that are on that list probably freaking out?
Yeah.
They're going to make potentially some desperate moves. Like who knows if they have any false flag quivers in their, whatever, arrows in their quiver, whatever this saying is. I'm retarded.
You fixed it.
They'll probably use it. Who knows? And again, total speculation. But also the flip side of this is if what they come out with tomorrow is kind of a dud and just like, here's your crumbs, guys, be satisfied with what we released. Remember, it's just all part of the release plan. That could make some people upset. I know there'll be some people that are like, oh, it's all time for the normies, whatever. But if it's not like impactful, the people who've been waiting for this stuff for 6-7 years, however long it's been, I know I'm not in that group. I've been waiting for a lot less time than that, but people are going to get upset. Like, hey, this is not what we were promised. Where's the rest of it? Why haven't we gotten it yet? Like, what's the holdup?
Yeah.
But again, it's the first drop. Who knows it's going to include? I'm not expecting much that we
but
don't.
But that includes
know.
what you caution there. It dovetails into what we spent a lot of time on at the beginning of the show, which is that that can be, even if it's well-meaning. Yeah, Chris. I mean, and that's where I think we do. John and I talked before the show as well. We do expect a rug. It's just that the rug has many definitions. I mean, I often argue with the Bitcoin boys about rug pulls and say that I am a believer in the plan and think that rug pulls are part of the plan, etc., but not that we don't need to be active. More exactly what you're saying when you're talking about ammunition, etc. But it's also always worth keeping in mind that we don't know what we don't know, right? Like when you allow certain people to build up your expectations for what a release like this is supposed to be long before it comes, you might be actively subverting whatever Patriot plan is going on, right? Because you're like, well, I've decided that if a certain former president's name isn't on this list, then this was a huge failure. And you've then got to reverse, trace that back and go, well, who told you that this name was going to be on this list? Was it the drops that told you this? Because actually it wasn't, even though everybody seems to think they did. Or was it people interpreting those drops for you about these flight logs?
I can honestly say that I've never dug in to the flight logs. I've seen stuff on social media.
It's almost impossible to dig into the flight logs with any real verifiable.
Yeah. We had stuff that was posted on Twitter not long ago. Everybody's like, oh, the logs have been released, but it wasn't. It was like old stuff. It's I don't know. I'm just when it comes out, whatever comes out tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be posted publicly to the DOJ's website. I'll certainly read through it all, and then wherever that takes me, I'll investigate. I don't expect to be the one breaking news. There are people that are like super dug in on this information and been waiting for it. They're following it. It's like all they do. Those are probably the ones I'd follow too, But we'll see. It's probably going to be a rug. I would expect a rug, but hopeful it's not. It's certainly the fact that they are doing something, it's better than nothing. Even if it's a rug is sometimes better than just having to sit with your pom-poms. So
who recently said, I don't know if it was Chris or G Money or somebody said, you just have to stand off of the rug, and then the rug pull can't affect you. It was great. It was a great little quote. I don't know if that was in a private chat or on a show. It might have been Chris. I'll credit him, and if it's not Chris, I want him to admit it, and I'm going to take back the credit for it and bestow it onto somebody else.
Well, I'll take credit for it if it wasn't Chris, because I say a lot of like very quotable things all the time.
Just
like,
get off the rug. Get off the rug, and then the rug pulls can't hurt you.
You can just watch them. You can watch them hurt everybody else and laugh with us. That's what we do
here.
Still
believe in the American Restoration without whatever Pam Bondi. Okay, there it is. So
you're good about that. I'm surprised you didn't take credit for that quote, Burning Bright.
That's something that I'm accused of, but I actually bestow credit quite liberally.
Yeah. Oh, here's haha.
What some say.
Anyway.
I always just say haha twice. Chris says it many times when he's extremely tickled by something.
That's how you know it's funny, though. If somebody only says it twice, it's like there's nobody out there that laughs like that.
That's
like,
true.
Haha, that was really funny.
Yeah.
Nobody laughs like that. So you have to do multiple ha-has or a LOL or a laughy face. It's one of those things. But yeah, so we'll see.
Mrs.
Epstein
Bright's
files
move
tomorrow.
is the upside down smiley face. Does she ever hit you with that?
What?
Does Mrs. Bright ever hit you with the upside down smiley face?
No, she normally just sends me like the kissy face and the hearts and stuff. No, just kidding. No, it's normally like the angry face.
It means she's embarrassed about something. It's like a weird thing she does, but there's a method to it.
Oh, he said, Chris Paul, look at my meme. Okay.
Look at my meme. You can't text people to look at your meme, man. Especially when we're trying to do a professional show, Chris.
Well, to quote him accurately, since that's what we're doing now, it says, look at my meme, fuck faces. And it is a good meme, so I'm going to look at this and pull it up, hold for processing, because it is very timely.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even see that before bestowing said credit onto him.
At least she's going to wake up. At least she's going to wake up, wake the normies. That's pretty good.
I will
Pam
say
Bondi
my
tells
favorite
Jesse Waters
meme...
the Epstein files are coming tomorrow, 24 hours later. That's funny.
Yep. Well, and watch the goalpost move, which they will, which is why you can't pin your hopes onto this kind of stuff. You just have to move forward yourselves, which is the theme of this show, I guess. But my favorite meme on this theme was from 2022 in private Badlands chats, and I will not reveal the details, but it was G Money, and he edited a CNN Chiron to say Rug Salesman of the Year, bestowed a specific person with Rug Salesman of the Year.
Oh, that's funny. I remember who that was.
That's an all-timer.
That is an all-timer.
He did call it way in advance of everybody.
He's his filter, I hate to admit it,
1,000.
He's batting like over 1,000, if that's even possible.
Granted, he might just hate everybody. So,
which, hey, if he's batting 1,000 because he hates everybody, what's wrong with that?
That's true.
Maybe we're all wrong in our approaches. But okay, we're gonna tie this to the next story now because this is relevant. So we talked about the Epstein stuff and what potentially was going on there, and everybody kind of knows what Epstein was doing by having people on his plane. Like, it's a form of control, blackmail material. I guess it's speculated that's what is going on. I don't know if we've actually seen proof of that. If you have, let me know. I haven't dug into the Epstein files, but that's the speculation, at least, that this was all blackmail. A lot of our politicians are probably blackmailed. It's a form of power projection that people use.
And Ghislaine Maxwell's connection, her father's connections to British intelligence, etc.
Ghislaine?
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine.
Giselle. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, the connections to Five Eyes intelligence, etc.
Okay, maybe he's batting like 999.
That's true.
Although
we don't know. Give Ron a chance, Chris.
Anyway,
he's
okay.
And income tax.
Everything Ron is doing in Florida is stuff he never talked about until Trump said he was going to do it. First it was the immigration stuff, then it was Doge, Florida version, ending income tax, like all these things. It's all just Trump. He's trying to set up for the 2028 run. He is.
I just can't unhear that he sounds like a lesbian. His voice.
Oh, that's true. No, I can't unhear that either.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep going. So, blackmail, honeypot stuff. There's a story that came out in like October or something of last year, and it's coming back again because now it's being investigated. And I absolutely love this story. Like maybe that's all it is, just the story. But it's funny. It's got twists and turns. It's got FBI honeypot, sex stuff. Like it's just all you want in a 50 Shades of Grey novel is right here in this Washington Times article. But I'm gonna read through some of this, and we're gonna discuss it because this is what they do, and this is what Epstein was doing: is you honeypot people, get info on them, and then you control them or take them down. FBI leadership is starting an investigation into the origins of the agency's plan a decade ago to infiltrate the campaign of presidential candidate Donald Trump using 2 female undercover honeypot agents. The off-the-books investigation launched in 2015 by FBI Director James Comey was revealed by an agency whistleblower in a protected disclosure to the House Judiciary Committee last year and first reported exclusively by the Washington Times in October. In the intelligence community, a honeypot commonly refers to an undercover operative, usually a woman, who feigns sexual or romantic interest to obtain information from a target. I said this morning on the show.
She could also have legit sexual interest and be a honeypot.
You could. I said on the show this morning that you don't often hear about male honeypots, and I feel like that'd be a pretty fun gig if you could get that gig. But anyway, that's besides the point. The whistleblower said 2 female FBI undercover employees infiltrated Mr. Trump's 2016 campaign at high levels and were directed to act as honeypots while traveling with Mr. Trump and his campaign staff. The Times has learned that the bureau, now led by Cash and Bongino, is looking for those once undercover employees under Mr. Comey's direction. Well, let's see here. It was separate from
honeypot somebody who's married to Melania Trump.
I don't know. I don't think they've told us who.
Oh, okay.
But
Just saying.
It differed from the Crossfire Hurricane investigation that came beforehand. Let's see. It was the whistleblower personally knew that Mr. Comey ordered the FBI investigation into Trump, and he personally directed it. It didn't have it wasn't a case file opened on it. What's so funny?
Oops.
How dare you laugh?
He's just being very disruptive tonight.
Oh my gosh. One of the honeypots. He was honeypotting the Golden Corral. Mr. Comey, that was distracting, but really funny. Mr. Comey, he didn't open a file. Like, it wasn't on any system. It was totally off the books, which is illegal, I'm pretty sure. And they didn't disclose it to Horowitz. I'm trying to see what else. Oh, this part was interesting too. The investigation was eventually closed because a major newspaper obtained a photograph of one of the undercovers and was about to publish it. But the FBI press office told the outlet that the photograph was an FBI informant who would be killed if the photograph was publicly released. And so if they were honeypotting Trump, does that mean they were going to be killed by the Trump administration? Is that what they're implying? But anyway, it wasn't an actual informant. It was an undercover employee. One of the employees went to work for the CIA. The other one got a promotion at the FBI and it's like super high level now. But anyway, this is a story. They're investigating it. I think it's great that we're being told they're investigating stuff that happened to Trump way back then. Like they're actually going after the weaponized government. I think it's totally cool. I want to see people go to jail. I want to see some form of justice. And maybe this is the beginning of seeing some form of justice. I want to see real justice, though, not the fake stuff. But I think it's interesting how this ties to the Epstein stuff, because it's very similar method. And then on top of that, this is just the first time they've got caught doing this. This is the first time we know of. This is are we to expect this to be the only instance of Comey or anybody at the FBI sending honeypots into presidential campaigns? Or what about governor campaigns? What about local politician campaigns? What about foreign leader campaigns? Like, has the FBI been doing this all over the world at every level of politics to control people or find information on them to bring charges or crimes and remove them? Did this happen to Bolsonaro? Did this happen to the guy in who just got, was it Romania?
Yeah, he got arrested.
Yeah. I mean, who knows where this stuff is happening? This is what they do, though.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that's rhetorical to this audience. Yes, that's what they've built their entire administrative and clandestine power projection on. Honeypots, blackmail, etc. And I think it makes sense that you'd be hitting this kind of narrative or this template from different sections or different areas of the story. Like you said with Epstein, you're hitting it from that area. It's kind of a totally different audience that's going to hit. Then you're hitting the FBI Trump campaign type of thing there. And, as we say a lot, it doesn't take a lot of imagination. The good thing about being so involved with this stuff, most people in this audience for years, going back to Russiagate and collusion and all that kind of stuff, is that in 2025, when you see a story like this, you see it, what the rest of that thread is, right? Like, that if that thread is pulled earnestly, where it goes. And the hope here is that we're actually entering an era where the thread is going to be pulled. Obviously, we thought that the thread was going to be pulled a long time ago. Like, we were thinking 2017, 2018, 19, this stuff was going to be exposed. 2020, it was going to be exposed. Well, if we are entering this era of accountability, etc., and I think maybe you can take some measure of confidence in people like Kash Patel, obviously being heavily involved here in the public narrative. I'm not talking about whether the administration's real or not. It's more just the characters that are being put forth on the law enforcement side of the Trump administration, are not fuck around type of characters, especially Kash. So if he's talking about reforming the image of the FBI, then the only way to reform the image of the FBI is, ironically, to expose this kind of stuff that's been going on, because that's how you gain the trust of the American people, by having that communication feedback loop. And we're already seeing training wheels versions of that with something like Doge, where Elon is saying, like, hey, look, we're doing it all on a ledger. You can look at what we're doing. We're a feedback loop to the administration and to the people. So I think we're going to see something similar when it comes to these kind of investigations.
Yeah. Number one, we need transparency. So obviously we need to know what the FBI was doing and all these agencies are doing. Like you said earlier, you're a truth maximalist. I think pretty much everybody at Badlands is. Like, yeah, that's pretty standard with us. We want all the truth all the time. I don't think there's any excuses to hold the truth back. There's like trusting anybody or it being part of the plan or whatever. Like, I understand people say that and why they say that, but I'm sick of waiting for the normies. I just am. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be mean or rude or like, I know people get offended when you say F the normies. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying the whole choice to know will be yours thing. The time has come. Like, people have made their choices. So let's rip the Band-Aid off on everything. When it comes to this stuff and Kash Patel reforming the FBI, if that's what ends up happening and we don't get a say in that, I'll be upset. Like, let's expose everything the FBI and all these intel agencies have been doing that they shouldn't have been doing, and then let the people decide if they still want these agencies around. And if they do, if you can figure out a way to honestly gauge where people are at with that stuff and get a vote that you can rely on and know is legit, and a majority of the people still want the FBI and these agencies in place, then I'm in favor of it. Whatever. The majority of people want it. Right now, where it stands from where I'm sitting, I want it all gone. I don't see a reason for it. They've been more of a hindrance than they have been a help. But again, if that's not true, it's only because they haven't told us the ways they've helped. All I ever see from them is bullshit. Let's get rid of it. All of it. So I hope they're not just trying to reform the FBI. I would like to see it metaphorically blown to pieces. And maybe exposure is step one to doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, and another version that could take is something that we've talked about when it comes to the federal government itself, which if I want to be optimistic, I think is one of the themes, obviously, of the new administration and the storylines of the new administration, is downsizing all this stuff, not just in terms of dismantling it, but instead of hoping that the FBI gets dismantled, because like if I pin my hopes on that, I feel like I'm going to get rugged and disappointed of it being splintered and scattered to the winds, right? But I like to focus on the idea of how do we create an environment, whether that's digitally or legally, constitutionally wherein an organization like that, if it does exist, has extremely limited power projection capabilities over American citizens. And I think that the reason I focus on that side of the equation is that, you know, nobody really gives a shit if the IRS exists if they have no enforcement authorities over you, right? It sounds so simple, but that's pretty much what it is. So if the FBI has been coloring outside the lines, they should be disbanded. But if they're not disbanded, they should basically be chained up, and they should really have the barrier that they should have to overcome to do anything to an unwitting American citizen who has not provably committed a crime should be extraordinary. That shouldn't be. It's crazy that that's like become a controversial thing to say at this stage, but yeah. I would think that somebody like Cash agrees with that. And like you said earlier, all this comes down to transparency. If we just know why the FBI is doing the things it's doing, maybe the American people sign off on everything it's doing from here on out.
Yeah, maybe something you said there. Maybe just think of something you said. You know, I hope that, I don't even remember the exact quote now because I was writing something down.
I hope that they get splintered, but I can't.
Yeah. Okay. So that right there, and I've done this before too. I'm just having this thought now. Maybe it won't even make sense, but if we hope that the FBI will be splintered into 1 million pieces, and it doesn't happen, then that's going to be disappointing, and that's a way of us having too high of expectations and the results not meeting our expectations, and we get disappointed. That's a rug pull. But you know what? If we believe that the FBI should be dismantled, and we just work our ass off to manifest it into reality, then there's no way you can be disappointed, because you're only going to be working until that goal is met. And if the goal is never met, that sucks for you. And maybe you're wrong. I don't know. But at least you're trying to get something accomplished. And so that's where I'm at. Like, I think a majority of these agencies should be gone. They shouldn't exist. They're unconstitutional, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you could argue that agencies shouldn't exist.
I think our role in this is to manifest that reality. And the only way we know how is by putting out our messaging and hoping to get shit around. Hopefully people relate to what we say. If it never happens that way, because other people with more power, control, or whatever influence have a different say, while that sucks, that just is what it is. But you'll never be disappointed in that if you are advocating for and fighting for the things that you believe should happen. So I'm that's where I'm at. I think the FBI needs to be dismantled along with everything else. And I think we all should be pushing for that. Do it, pussy. Yeah. Who's he talking to?
Yeah, I think focusing on the agency is where to focus that you mentioned. So we focus on the CIA, we focus on the FBI. The CIA is what I was referencing JFK, and he was referencing the CIA, not the FBI when I said that. But I don't think he had a great opinion of the FBI either. But yeah, it was the CIA. The CIA, I basically don't think there's even an argument. I'm at least open to the arguments of the FBI, I guess. But even then, it's only because some people very close to Trump have been saying, including Trump has been saying, that there's an argument for the FBI. Okay, well then here's another way to put it. If they want to convince us that the FBI is worth reforming, to your point, then the onus is on them to convince us, the American people, of that, right? There has to be a feedback loop there. So that's why I don't peg all my hopes into the FBI is going to be dismantled, because, hey, maybe there's a version here, a scenario here, where the FBI is reformed to the degree that it's unrecognizable from what we know it as. And maybe that means that it no longer operates as an independent agency, and that it operates, which was supposedly the original intention. I don't believe this, but the storied intention, or the stated intention of the FBI, was to act as the law enforcement arm of the federal government, which was meant to be the law enforcement arm of us, the American people, that could cross state lines and deal with stuff like that, right? Or deal with international issues. So that was never what the FBI functioned as, because of its de facto separation from the executive branch. And with Trump, we saw a total inversion of that. We saw Trump's law enforcement arm weaponized against him, which means it was weaponized against us. So we all know this, but the reason I say that it's not impossible for it to be reformed essentially means that it would have to be remade into something that it literally is not right now. So, you know, Cash can go on his thing. Yeah. Cash can go on and say, hey, most men and women at the FBI are good people. He's probably right, but that's not the argument that we're having. It's not a compelling argument to people like us that most feds are good people. I don't really give a shit if they're good people. I care whether or not they have unconstitutional authority over me. So that's the conversation that we need to have. Whether or not
I feel like that conversation's been had. It's been exposed.
Yeah.
So why? Where's the argument here? There is no argument. I don't think.
That's why I mean it has to not be the thing it is right now. That's the only way that it can be a thing.
Yeah, and I'm the kind of guy like you can try to fix something that's broken, but I don't know. It's like we're not going to be able to. The way it's set up, and it's gotten so. It's just been so poisoned. Like the well has been so poisoned. I don't think there's going back to it, and I think it's that way with a lot of these things. I think the best solution, if you're gonna put forth some form of, okay, we need some agency to do whatever it is the FBI says their reason for existing is doing, whatever. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know what that reason is. Honestly, don't know. And is it something the military can do? Is it something, whatever? But if you can present me a scenario in which we can trust that the FBI won't fall victim to their human nature and corrupt shit and all these things, I'm open to it. But I don't see why we can't just throw the whole thing out and start fresh from scratch with that new template. Because without doing that, I don't know if we'll ever be able to trust that we've been given the whole truth about how things went down.
It's true.
But that's why transparency and truth is so important. Like we need that aspect of this. Not muddied, not stuff held back for whatever reason. I'm not a fan of the drip flood stuff. We've drip for a long time. Trump flooded California. Let's flood it everywhere. Let's information flood all over the place. No more waiting.
I will be satisfied with the only meaningful change being that no more FBI themed television shows can ever be made again. Everybody who's ever worked on an FBI television show, anybody who's written on one, acted on one, watched one, if you've watched one, you're out. They're the worst shows ever. They're super formulaic. They've ruined entertainment. And if that's what Cash is talking about, then I'm fully on board.
I just think we all need to note that Bernie Bright defended the FBI tonight. I think that's the takeaway. I think we need to title this episode.
The FBI should be reformed into being the opposite of what it currently is.
No, that's not what he said. You all heard it. He defended the FBI. Ash even said it. We're going to title this episode Bernie Bright Defends FBI.
I was the Fed the whole time.
You were the Fed the whole time. Yeah, with now I have pictures with Cash and Bongino. I have pictures with both the top FBI guys. I'm the Fed now. I'll claim it. I'll own it. Oh, except for True Detective. That's a good point.
Ruled ourselves out.
He makes a good point. You're wrong again, Bernie Bright.
That's fair. It's actually the first thing I usually say to people when I tell them I liked True Detective is I go, I don't like detective shows.
Because they're a disgrace to the FBI that you love, right?
Yes, exactly. They're not realistic. Yeah, if anybody's not seen True Detective season 1,
super good.
Missing out.
Actually, I never finished. I finished season 1. I watched season 2. It was good. I think I started season 3 and I was like, or maybe it was, I don't remember one of the seasons, whichever one I left off on. Maybe it was is there 4?
The 4th one is not the original writer and is like a woke disaster.
It might be that one because I couldn't even finish it. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I just stopped.
Yeah, Jodie Foster and some like Native American lady.
The one. That's the one.
That's not Nick Pizzolatto.
Which one? Which one was season 3?
Season 3. I'd actually never watched season 2 and 3, but I need to. That was Mahershala Ali is the lead in it.
Hold on.
I know that, but I don't know what the premise is.
I don't know names, but I know faces. True Detective season 2.
Chris says season 2 and 3 are also the shit. I believe season 2 was Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
But
Season
I didn't see it
3. Oh yeah, season 3. I like that one too. Season 4. Oh yeah, that's the one I watched one episode. I don't even know if I finished the episode.
But it has a female lead and a strong, diverse other female lead in it, and you didn't like it?
No, I did not. Don't try to turn this on me. You're the one sim for the FBI. Now you're trying to...
A little problematic.
Now you're trying to spin this on me. But okay, let's start. Last thing we're going to talk about tonight, I think, is some like geopolitical stuff. I know last week we talked quite a bit about the Ukraine-Russia peace deal stuff, and there's been some updates in the last week. I don't remember where we left off on that saga. Maybe you do. I can just do a quick rehash of the whole thing. So it was sometime last week. The negotiations were taking place. Trump sent his envoy there. Kellogg, Bessent, Rubio. I think Vance made his appearance after the Munich Security Council thing. Zelensky was upset that he wasn't at the table. Europe was upset that they're at the table. So Trump, the U.S., and Russia. I mean, this is, again, the story we're being told. The U.S. and Russia are negotiating without everybody else involved. That made everybody big mad. Zelensky's like, hey, I'm not going to sign any peace deals unless I get my seat at the table. Like, we can't agree to anything that we don't have a part in negotiating. Then Trump and Russia and U.S. and Russia, whatever, were like, okay, well, we're not going to agree to anything until you guys have elections. So they're basically saying you're illegitimate. Trump even called him a dictator. Then there's this whole story about the mineral deal that's going on back and forth that they're trying to come to an agreement to. While that was going on, this week we had basically the parliament in Ukraine came out and they all put forth a statement, or they voted on something that was like, yeah, Zelensky is super legitimate. He's definitely the rightful president of Ukraine. But the funny thing is they also were up for election in 2023 and didn't have their elections because of the war in Ukraine, and things weren't safe enough to do so. So they're illegitimate as well. So the illegitimate parliament voted that Zelensky was legitimate. It's a joke. But allegedly they came to an agreement today about a peace, or about the mineral rights part of the deal. And I'm confused by it because I read through it. I read a couple different stories, and I'm having a hard time figuring out where we benefit from this deal. Because originally we were going to get like rights to mineral stuff getting paid back. And my understanding is that's not the case anymore. It's 50% of mineral rights are going to go into like a fund, and that fund is going to be used to rebuild Ukraine. Like, where's our rights in that? If I'm misunderstanding that, totally possible. I would even say probable. But I read multiple stories, and I did not get a good understanding that we were going to be actually benefiting from this in any real tangible way.
The report I had seen was that the U.S. would have rights to $500 billion in revenue.
Pull that up if you can find it.
But let me. All right.
I was going to do this before the show, but we were chatting.
Yeah, 500.
So we're going to dig this in live time. Okay, let's see what Politigay has to say.
Propagandists themselves.
Okay. Washington, Kyiv agreed to the text of a deal, and today the Ukraine government plans to recommend the deal for signing.
So
Zelensky's coming to the U.S.
New York Times says officials in Ukraine and the Trump administration said they have reached a deal that would give the United States revenues from Ukraine's minerals and other natural resources. Draft described a U.S.-controlled fund that would receive revenue from Ukraine's resources. Trump's initial demand was that Ukraine contribute $500 billion to a fund owned by the U.S. and pay back twice the amount of any future American aid.
But I don't think that's still in the deal, because
that was a draft deal.
Yeah, this is what I've seen multiple times now. Let me read this. U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday hinted Zelensky could travel to the U.S. to sign the deal. I hear he's coming Friday. Ukrainian papers said Kyiv would pay 50% of the revenues from its state-owned natural resource into a fund that would invest in Ukraine. The deal does not mention the $500 billion figure Trump was demanding in compensation for Washington's support for Kyiv in fending off Moscow's invasion. When asked what Ukraine would receive in exchange for the minerals deal, Trump referred to aid already supplied by the U.S., along with lots of military equipment and the right to fight on. Asked how long the U.S. would continue supplying weapons to Kyiv, Trump said it would go forward for a while and maybe until we have a deal.
So this is Ukrainian media saying that all they're saying here is that Trump is saying that he wants the $500 billion deal. That's his version. And the Ukrainian media is citing the Ukrainian version of the deal, which does not include that.
Yes, and that's the one that they've allegedly agreed to. And so
the Ukrainian version of it?
Well, and I saw this on multiple different reports. The deal does not mention the $500 billion figure Trump was demanding in compensation.
It says but above that, Ukrainian newspaper cited a version of the deal dated the 24th.
Yes.
So I don't know, if that necessarily means that that's finalized, that's the one that's finalized.
Yeah, every report that I've read on this today says that the $500 billion figure Trump was demanding, I mean, whatever the source is, the understanding is that that is no longer part of the deal.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, I don't understand what we're getting, because even them paying 50% of revenues from their state-owned natural resources fund, that investment is going back into Ukraine. That makes little to no sense to me. And then we're going to give them, again, this is all the story being told. These deals have already been negotiated for sure. And so it's more so just trying to figure out why they're telling us this, why they're telling us this version of the story. And to me, this version doesn't make any sense from any perspective. I guess technically, if you think about it, we give a lot of money to Ukraine, a lot. We should at least get that back, and that's what I'm not seeing here. Instead, I'm seeing we're going to continue more. Now, the flip side of this would be if some things we speculated, like what happens if Russia gets more territory long term than they're at right now? What if Russia takes over all of Ukraine at some point in the near future? Then whatever's being negotiated, where our benefit in this is from Russia. It's not Ukraine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, with the fact that you bring that up, this is what has struck me the most in the last week and change about this whole narrative. First of all, Zelensky's doing a great job. Our boy Z is doing a fantastic job in this narrative. He's been talking about, this guy gives the regime whiplash more so than any of the other characters on the game board, where he will immediately follow up saying no to something by saying yes. And then a counter to what you brought up about Ukrainian Congress supporting Zelensky, etc. One of the big signals that I've mentioned in Ukraine is that the power players in Ukraine that publicly criticize Zelensky and want him gone, all of them that I've looked into are Azov battalion supporters, funders, etc. So he seems to constantly do what Trump wants. But this was interesting. Russia and the U.S. discussed possible joint projects in the Arctic at talks in Riyadh. This is something I'm hoping to have our own on Badlands, unfortunately Canadian, but Matt Arrett, if any of you guys have been reading any of his stuff he does on the Substack, he's been talking about this U.S.-Russia Arctic agreement for years. And it goes back to Civil War era plans that were in place. So this is signal AF for a lot of people. And then we've got in Russian media, Russia, the U.S. discussing major deals. According to Putin, Russia and the U.S. are in talks on major joint economic projects. The two countries recently took steps to reestablish dialogues. Some Russian and American companies are in contact and discussing major projects. Economic development, this was Trump, who said economic development transactions will take place between the U.S. and Russia. The two nations are proceeding very well. So it's super vague. But to your point, I think that we need to zoom out when we're looking at whatever is going to come from this Ukraine crap. I don't really focus on these deals that are being passed back and forth. Chris has been talking about this obviously as well. They're all done deals. If you don't realize that they're all done deals at this point, then you're just way, way behind and have to just kind of watch the constant whiplash in the narrative of the tit for tat. We're going to see a peace deal made. We're going to see Russia get a huge portion, if not all, of the territory it wants. And then we're going to see major active and proactive global restoration projects between the US, Russia, and China. And China is still going to enter the chat at some point later on. So China has the Belt and Road Initiative. From where I'm sitting, the US-Russia Arctic Initiative looks really similar to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. And I think that they're the same thing. I think it's all the same thing. It's part of this new multipolar, sovereign, cooperative world that they want to put together. But as you said, this is just the story that they've got to bring us along on the way there, because of all the damage that's been done to the American psyche about the bad, dastardly Russians and Chinese.
I think I found a little more on this. And this is from the shitheads at Reuters. Deal could open up Ukraine's vast mineral wealth to the U.S. What we're doing now is saying, look, we want to be secured. The American taxpayer is now going to get their money back. Plus, Zelensky refused to sign the earlier draft. We already know that. Under the terms of the draft mineral agreement, according to sources familiar with its contents, the United States and Ukraine would establish a reconstruction investment fund. Interesting. To collect and reinvest revenues from Ukrainian sources, including minerals, hydrocarbons, and other extractable materials. So maybe it's just us being the ones who have the access to the raw materials, and then revenues from us purchasing that from them goes into that fund.
Counterpoint. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, what's your counterpoint?
I thought you were done. My counterpoint would be...
I don't know if I made a point, but...
Well, you said maybe this is the U.S. taking revenues from the minerals that they're extracting.
No, it's the U.S. taking the minerals. We get the access and the rights to buy the minerals from Ukraine, and they take revenues from that and put that into the fund.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I would also say that when you mentioned the word reconstruction, a different way of looking at all this for everybody who freaks out about like the U.S. money and the money to Ukraine and everything, unless you listen to mainstream media propaganda, if you want to think about the area in Ukraine that has been absolutely devastated is the Donbass. The Donbass, if you are not retarded, is the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation was devastated with the funding of the United States, NATO, and the European Union. And that funding was made possible after the Obama-supported and CIA-trained Maidan coup. So just a different way to spin all of this, and our American mindsets can make this difficult. We, the United States and the CIA and the US presidency, before Donald Trump, literally are the bad guys who made it possible to absolutely devastate the Donbass and the people of the Donbass. So another way of looking at all of these deals, if the United States loses out in the deals, is if we can see if we see a reconstruction initiative in the Donbass, that's the Russian Federation after all of this is over. And you bet your ass that Western money owes the Russian Federation some reconstruction, given the fact that we violently overthrew a Russian elected regime and helped facilitate, I'm not saying we, you know what I mean, our regime facilitated the genocide of people in the Donbass. So it's a different way to look at this kind of stuff instead of just freaking out about whether or not we're getting any money out of it.
But the Donbass is going to Russia, so they would be separate from this reconstruction fund.
I mean, I don't necessarily think that's the case. It depends on how it...
What do you mean? Based on everything like Hicks and everybody said, is that like the territorial lines are not going back to what they were. But Russia has this territory, it's going to stay there.
Yeah, but that means that all the damages have been done in that territory. So what's the reconstruction going to?
It says Ukraine. It depends. I mean, maybe the deal says Ukraine is going to pay for Russia's reconstruction.
I'm just not sure. That's what I don't know. I'm just floating that as a possibility.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
we don't know.
You're right about what you said.
Yeah, I know you're not arguing with that. I'm just saying that the Donbass we don't know after the new lines are drawn, is the Donbass going to be called Russia? Is it going to be called its own region in between, right? Like, however this is defined, I just am floating the possibility that the reconstruction money is going to go there, not to what we're talking about as Ukraine and Kyiv, etc.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that would make sense. Although I think it'd be surprising, and I do think the Donbass and all the territory that Russia has gained and took back, I should say, all the places that have voted multiple times now to be part of Russia, they're going to be Russia. And so that's where I don't know. Again, not having any access, we haven't seen the deal yet. We don't know what's been signed, so a lot of this is speculation, and maybe it's pointless speculation. Although I don't know if that even exists. I think some speculation is healthy. Regardless, I would be surprised to see a Ukraine investment fund funding Russia. I don't know. I just think at the end of the day, all of Ukraine should be Russia, and it'd be a moot point.
Yeah. They could just label this though as saying like displaced Ukrainians, right? And it's like those are Donbass people.
Yeah, but that's going to muddy the waters in the future, and like displaced. They try to do more color revolutions because they're displaced. I think it's going to be pretty clear that this is Russia. It always was Russia.
Yeah.
The reason it was displaced in the first place, displaced Ukrainians, is because the color revolution the CIA implemented back in 2014.
Well, to your point, maybe at that point, the central narrative changes and this money that was earmarked for Ukraine restoration instead goes to the Donbass. But either way, if any money goes over there, I would be absolutely shocked if we're ever able to confirm that it goes to, Western Ukraine. I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm going to keep reading this here. Ukraine would contribute to the fund 50% of the revenue minus operating expenses and continue until the contributions reach the sum of $500 billion. The United States would provide a long-term financial commitment to the development of a stable and economically prosperous Ukraine. Asked what Ukraine would get in return for the minerals deal, Trump cited that he said was $350 billion already provided by the U.S. and lots of military equipment and the right to fight on. I think that's an interesting way to phrase it. Scott Anderson, a fellow in governance studies at the Brookings Institution, said that while the minerals deal would look like a kind of piracy, to much of the world it's necessary to get buy-in from Trump and Republican lawmakers. They say this gives him, Trump, real skin in the game. I think there's a real logic to that. It's also interesting. There was a part in here I wanted to read. Oh, yeah. This one. I think this is hilarious. Just to show you how gay they are over at Reuters. A White House meeting could give Zelensky a chance to make his case for continued U.S. support directly to Trump, who last week falsely accused Kyiv of starting the war. Douchebags.
He also looped NATO into that, which we've known forever, but, just...
Yeah, he called the European Union, like, the only reason they were designed was to rip off the United States.
Yeah. So, the fact that this is stuff that we've been talking about for literal years at this point, and obviously Putin's like banging his head against the wall for a decade, but it's nice to see it converging in the public narrative. And it can feel very slow for us, but if you really think about how rapidly the Overton window has progressed, think of February, March 2022. The vast majority of Americans, including Republicans, were Russia bad, Ukraine and Zelensky good, NATO good, Article 5, and we are so far away from that, even in Normieville 3 years later.
Yeah. Yeah, gonna be interesting. Gonna be fun to watch the story play out. But anyway, I think that's all the stories I had earmarked for tonight. Is there anything else that you wanted to throw out there? Otherwise, we'll talk GART, boosts, rants.
The only other little story I saw, I mean, is a bit of a silly one, but I just thought it was fun, was the Jeff Bezos directive to the Washington Post. I don't know if you mentioned this on your show today.
No, I didn't today. I was gonna, but actually I went a full hour today, which is a little unusual. So
getting a little long in the tooth there.
Yeah, it won't happen again.
So the headline from Zero Hedge, what the actual F, WAPO reporters melt down. So Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, for anybody who doesn't know, said that he basically sent a new directive down to editorial at the Washington Post. Here, I'll actually just look at what Jeff Bezos actually said. I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We're going to be writing every day in support of and defense of two pillars, personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. I won't read the whole thing, but he talks about how the WAPO editor at the time that he proposed this to was not having it and quit, and a bunch of the other WAPO people quit. So it's, you know, it's like Schadenfreude, which is great, but getting past the obvious, which is that it's exposing the media establishment, I think it's actually exposing them in some ways that people don't talk about, which is that everything that we have been claiming the mainstream media is, which taking politics out of it, taking Trump, etc. out of it, the media's talking points are given to them by whoever owns the media. And now the media, because they don't like the talking points they're being given publicly, are angry at that. So I think MAGA Twitter is focusing on Bezos being suddenly based and saying freedom and personal liberties are going to be our mission statement. So, okay, you can get your mileage out of that narrative. Fine. It's cool. It's funny, whatever. I think the bigger signal is that Bezos is telling everybody that the Washington Post prints what I tell them to print, meaning that they've always been doing that.
Yeah.
So like it's so simple, but all these media shills are just basically admitting that now that their boss is telling everybody that they don't have opinions, they have assigned talking points. It's just the continued humiliation ritual of the mainstream media. I don't for one second believe that Jeff Bezos is a patriot or anything. I see this more as either if you want to go full white hat plan, you think like patriot control, fine, but you don't even have to go there. You can just go survival mechanism, trying to get on the right side of the ledger, like Mark Zuckerberg, etc. So it's good to see, that people have talked about the Democrat Party won't recover from this whole period of time. The mainstream media, the corporate media as it existed, it can't rebuild off of anything. There's nothing to rebuild off of after how completely they've been exposed in the current era.
Well, a couple things here. So first, with what you said about him, and you kind of mentioned this, but I see this the exact same way as I saw the Zuckerberg op, like the Retribution tour on Joe Rogan and all these things. Like he's super hipster now. He never believed in the COVID stuff. It wasn't his fault. Like he had nothing to do with it. He was as shocked as anybody. He's a bro now. Let's all forgive and forget and move on. Don't buy it for a second. I think it's stupid to cheerlead it. And whatever. This is the same thing. Like, okay, Jeff Bezos, you're going to talk about personal liberties and what was the other one? Like, I don't know, something super patriotic, whatever. Why weren't you doing that the entire time? Like, where have you been?
Personal liberties and free markets.
Okay, yeah. Where's that been? Like,
Amazon,
that should have been
free markets, right?
Okay, what happened? Let's just hypothetically say in 2028, Kamala Harris somehow wins a landslide election. Is he going to switch it back to, okay, we're not going to talk about this anymore. We're going to switch it back to communism and why that's good for you. They just go where the wind blows. And these aren't people with any true values, no integrity at all. A lot of money, good for him. But I don't trust it for a second, and I'm not going to celebrate it. The other thing you said at the end there, and I don't remember, I should have led with that. Dang it.
I said the corporate media can't recover from their position right now.
Yeah, so there's an interesting thing here, because I've been saying that too. Like, I don't think the mainstream media is going to be able to recover, but so many people still turn to mainstream media. I mean, even we use mainstream media as a source for a lot of things, and a lot of it is because of our own financial restrictions and our access to direct sources. Something we want to change. We want to get access to the White House. We want to get all these things, and we're going to continue pushing until we get there. And thank you guys for your support and helping us do that. But an interesting thing here that we're seeing from Trump is he's like suing these news agencies, like Paramount and CBS, and he sued Twitter, Facebook. He's got some settlements there. They're negotiating a settlement with with Paramount CBS. That template right there of like, let's just sue these guys out of business. That's a great way to, it doesn't matter if you keep falling victim for the mainstream media if they don't exist because they're so full of shit. Like they just literally won't exist because they won't have the funds to do so, because they have been held liable for all the things they've done as the enemy of the people, as Trump said. Like that's I love that little nugget of a story that's playing out.
Yeah, I totally agree, and this is why I think while I think people in our neck of the woods continue to call out a threat, which is the rebranding of mainstream media personalities as independent commentators. I think that is a danger. I know that Chris talks about that. You know, we talk about that quite a bit. There's been some recent stuff about Tucker Carlson and who funds his podcast, etc. So, you know, anyway, you could apply this to many different figures of saying like, oh, they're totally independent now. And it's like, well, are they? Where's the money coming from? So I think that's a threat to make sure that mainstream media is not just able to rebrand. But the reason I don't get too doomy about that is I often say, and in my Overton's Goalpost article from a couple years ago, retreat is defeat in the mind war. And the bottom line is, if the enemy is in a position where they are being forced to pretend to be you, they are not in a good position, right? So I think sometimes we focus a little too much on Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg are lying, and I think we should call that stuff out. But it's still a good sign that these guys have gone from being open globalists to pretending to be MAGA.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, have you seen the number of mainstream media television characters that have been fired and let go? Like Joy, like all these people, Joy Reid and Acosta and I can't. There's like a whole collage out there somewhere. Probably Patriots in control.
What's Cuomo doing these days? Is he still around? Is he like?
No, he does his own thing. But all these people have been fired, and I think it's funny that while the intelligence agencies are being dismantled and all this random USAID foreign funding is being dismantled and exposed, all of a sudden, just a coincidence, all these journalists and media figures are also being let go.
And to that point, it's maybe unrealistic, or people have a hard time in this audience, like in our world, thinking of this, because we think so many of these people have to be these clandestine actors. But when you see a meltdown like Joy Reid, it's entirely possible that she didn't know she was an asset of this regime, right? That doesn't excuse anything that she did, but when you're talking about this kind of funding, the people receiving the funding don't have to know that they're receiving the funding. You know, they're just getting the pink slip. So that's where the greatest schadenfreude is.
Could be. Tough to know. Maybe we'll never know, but yeah. Real quick, guys, if you haven't yet, I would highly encourage you to go to badlandsmedia.tv/events. I'll show you how to do it right here in live time. Badlandsmedia.tv.
Now, does one need a personal computer to do this?
You can do it from a phone. You can do it from a laptop.
Connection?
Your local library has access to the internet. You can go there to do this as well. Many ways.
Okay. What about your phone? You can do it on your phone, you said. Okay.
Yep, on your cellular device.
Great.
You may even be able to do it in a Tesla. Does Tesla allow you to browse things? I don't know. But you go in here and you click on this little tab where it says events, and it'll take you right here. And this is where you can get your in-person or virtual GART ticket. Now, in-person tickets are great because you get to come hang out with us in person. Lots of fun, lots of camaraderie. It's these events. You ask anybody who comes to these events, I haven't met a single person yet who's regretted coming to one of these events.
Well, we do put those people in the pit of despair.
That's true.
But you know,
but
so
never
we
to be
don't
heard
talk
from
to
again.
them
So
after
you
we
won't
put
hear
them
him
in
saying it.
Yeah.
But if you can't make it, then a virtual ticket is the next best thing. And we tried to make this as close to being there as possible. You'll get access to a Telegram chat, which a lot of people say is one of the best parts because you continue the conversation with the people you meet there, and all these like-minded individuals outside of just the event. It's established now. You could join the chat now, and you can join it after. You'll get access to replays of all the panels, behind the scenes stuff. We're going to do exclusive live streams. I wanted to do one tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be able to. So we'll hold 2 more, I think, before the event for sure. I drop with my kids Monday, so we'll probably do one Monday or Tuesday. We'll try to get somebody else to do a stream between now and then. But so
we
get
can
your virtual
guarantee
ticket.
Ash will be in an argument with somebody on every one of these.
Which is, that alone is worth the price of admission.
Easiest promise to make.
Yeah, but this is next week, guys. Next week. A week from, today's Wednesday. So a week from tomorrow will be the VIP dinner, and we'll do a live stream from there. And then the next day is the first day of the event, and we have a welcome reception. We'll live stream all that stuff. So make sure you guys get your virtual tickets. Not only will you be supporting Badlands, but you'll be joining the Badlands GART community. And this is a great way to find people in your area to continue the conversations outside of Badlands. Build those local communities. Okay. And then we'll do some boosts.
I think
you got those?
Caught up on boosts. The last one was from Micro Toolmaker, who sent $117. Said Rumble was messing with his ability to support shows. I think we read that last week.
Yeah.
But he also left the first rant tonight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are caught up. Okay, so rants. Let's do that. By the way, guys, hit that thumbs up if you haven't yet. Would greatly appreciate it. Micro Toolmaker. Badlands media is growing while mainstream media is diminishing. Do the math. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you so much for the very generous rant and your continued support. Micro Toolmaker has been killing it all across the network.
And apparently Rumble rants are working. I don't know. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. But thank you.
Yeah, Rumble's always developing this stuff. I actually have a call with them Friday to talk about some of this. I don't know. Maybe with Dan Bongino going to the FBI, they'll give us a more prominent spot. I don't know. We'll see. Faux Mick. I will always keep watching as many shows as I can. I love them all. Well, thank you.
Oh my God. I just learned Ash is an Irish French Canadian mix. That explains everything.
What is ZBM?
Somebody she was responding to.
I am. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, ZBM. Yeah, that explains it, because the Irish are usually just, I don't know. We've got
Isn't that what your kid is going to be, though? Like Irish and French Canadian?
My wife is French speaking Canadian, but not French blooded Canadian.
Close enough.
Yeah, it's true. She's like a spy. She doesn't even have an accent.
Yeah, what's it like to have your kid is going to be Canadian?
No. We're not even going to tell him Canada's real.
Oh, if I ever meet that kid, he will know.
You'll meet him in Plymouth.
That's true.
Are you coming to your own event in Plymouth in May?
I will. As you established earlier, I do not miss events unless I have to, but I haven't had to yet. So, and this week's so crazy too. Well, first of all, I haven't told anybody this yet, but I'm pretty sure I have a kidney stone right now. So I'm not even sure. Yeah, I don't know how or why this keeps happening. This is my third one.
Oh man.
And I didn't even go
one, but I heard they're horrible.
They're terrible. I didn't even go to the doctor for this one. I felt the pain. I was like, oh, what's going on? No, this can't be happening. And then it started where it always starts, and it goes down. I can feel it going through me. Yeah, this is definitely kidney stone. But I didn't even go to the doctor because I had my kids this week, and I'm not going to take those meds, right? But even though I have a kidney stone, hopefully it'll pass by then. But I will be at GART. But also it's my son's birthday this Sunday, and I'm actually super pumped about this. We're having a Nerf gun war at this school gymnasium, and I'm so stoked. But anyway, it's a crazy week with birthday, kidney stone, work stuff, kids. But I'm going to be there, guys.
Destroy
I will not
those
miss.
kids.
Oh, I'm going to. My idea is, I bought this souped up sniper Nerf gun, and I'm gonna let them do their war stuff, and I'm just gonna go sit in the bleachers and just pick them off as I can. Nice. That's my plan. I'm sure things will change.
They've got to have rail guns at this point.
Oh, they do, and they're so cheap right now. I remember when my son first started getting into
Nerf market.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but when my son first started getting Nerf guns, there's this one gun that was like 150 shots. You just like cycle through them like a machine gun, and it was like $200 or something. The same one, $45.99 or something at Hobby Lobby.
Nice
Nerf brand. Like couldn't believe it. Yeah. But yeah, anyway. Sleep state. Maybe Patrick didn't want to go to the space with General Quast. Thank you for the rant.
That's probably it. I think he got it.
You nailed it. Steph Asia, is Patrick going to guard Vegas? I don't think so. I'll have to confirm that. But no, I don't think so. Not as a speaker, anyway. Old Man T, thank you for your work. Thank you. IB Fish, I love the 9 to 5 format live. Such a great time to do this. Yeah. I think it'll work well. Patrick J17, BB, my wife goes to bed 3 to 4 hours before me. I feed the baby before I go to bed. We are getting 8 hours each. 5 months in. See you guys in Vegas. Suck it, BB, essentially.
Okay, we're 2 months in. But so what were you at 2 months in? What were you at 8 weeks? Which is where we're at literally today.
Getting like 2 hours of sleep each.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy, man.
He's sleeping right now, and he's going to wake up right when I get off this to do some more work.
Well, if your wife is smart, she will wake him up now that it's your turn. So maybe. No, I'm just kidding. She would never do that. No. Dragonfly Sister, I totally appreciate how you are all evolving. You are becoming more relevant every day. We love the people that have left, but we love you all still here or there, and new ones to come. Much love. Thank you. Thank you for the generosity.
A very nice and well-rounded message.
Certainly was. Rhonda Larson, first time rant, love you guys. People will always come and go, and that is perfectly okay. That's life. Isn't that just life? It's crazy. Like, I've been in so many different worlds, like insurance, fundraising, all this stuff. Hold on. I sent my friend a picture of a belt-fed Nerf gun and suggested that we get a few and reenact the Battle of the Guadalcanal and the kids. So
you guys were wondering why Ghost isn't invited to any of the local barbecues anymore. That's
Ghost, fly to Bismarck. Like, I'm gonna have 25 kids. I'm gonna set up the gym with like barricades and stuff all over the place.
Did you come up with this?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I was a little delayed on like finding places. So he didn't want to do the same place he did last year. And then everything else, even a month out, was totally booked. Like, couldn't go anywhere. So we were pretty limited on options. There's a couple places we could have gone, but I was like, my dad works at the school. We can get in for free. We can have the whole gym and the kids can run around. And then I was like, but even better, we can shoot the kids with Nerf guns while they shoot each other as well.
And the bullets will all be so accessible. That's a great Nerf location. You always want to take them out into the woods and stuff, but it just ruins your whole day because you lose all the bullets.
Outside's the worst. Gym's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can buy Nerfs themselves are so cheap. I got 1,000 of them for like $50.
Yeah, but Nerfs disappear right after you shoot them.
They do. In the gym, they're probably gonna disappear too. But plus, like every little gun thing you get comes with like it'll be fine. It won't even matter. The kids are just they'll have a blast doing it. Okay, but what I was saying is, every business I've ever been in, people come and go, leave all the time, and like nobody is like, oh my God, what is going on? You guys there must be something crazy going on at
deep state. Yeah.
At the school system for this person to be leaving. What's the conspiracy here?
Yeah.
It's insane. Mighty Brush 68. Badlands is the gold standard of new media. Been with you guys since before day one. You are my news. You need to be at the White House asking questions for us. We are trying.
Yeah.
But they are not complying. Final
too
demand.
Cool for that now. We're just going to be hipsters.
I want to be at the White House, though. I would love to. Not even like we can. They don't have to show us on screen. They don't even have to say who it is. But it would be nice to like get answers to some questions we have. Like right off the bat, did Trump direct Anna Paulina Luna to create her task force committee? Because as soon as that question is answered in the way I think it will be answered, that thing is done. That ends that committee right there. There's no reason for it to exist. The final demand, did Luna delete that tweet? I went to find it and screenshot it to send to my mom, and I don't see it. There's a tweet second from the top that says, if the HR bill passes, then no tax on tips, etc. She did delete it. If you go and watch my show this morning, I read through it. I was on Twitter scrolling through it. That tweet no longer exists. She deleted it. Dragonfly Sister, a challenge for our faves. $25 if they say dastardly. LOL, my new favorite word. I mean, really, who doesn't like it, especially talking about the libs? Let's keep winning.
Dastardly's really spreading.
Yeah, I like the $25 challenge. Yeah. So I will say dastardly as many times as you guys will fund it. Valseco 16. See, I remember Valseco. I remember how to say it. Imagine in 2015 or earlier convincing whoever that if we do this, the American people get activated. Looking now, did we meet, exceed, or fail their faith in us? I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us here at Badlands.
Yeah.
For sure. Great comment. Ghostsmith 801. Epstein files tomorrow will be nothing. It's everything we already know. Don't hold your breath.
That's how you should operate. And you shouldn't be doomed out about it. Like you said, just move forward.
Yep.
You don't need a list of names to fix the country.
Melindy says Ryan Dawson has some things to say about the list, and then has a link and it's a video about the list is out.
Don't know who that is, to be honest.
I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I would speculate that like this guy doesn't have access to insider info.
He doesn't have Anna Pauluna's direct line.
Yeah, I don't know, I'd have to look into it. I don't know if I can give it any credibility because I haven't heard of it. I mean, I trust you, Melindy, but just being honest. So I'll check it out. Thank you for sending that link over. Mighty Brush 68. I'm a J6er artist and father of 5 with a unique view of that day. I've seen things that I haven't heard anyone comment on. Deep state is still dangerous, but I have faith. I agree with that. I agree that the deep state is real. It's a real war, and they are still a potential threat. Now, I know not everybody agrees with that, but no worries. Thank you for the rant. 1027 JS says, thanks. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you as always. My fellow North Dakotan. Wedge Gravy. Be awesome if we simultaneously get arrests. Maybe we had to wait for cash. I've heard that floated. It's a good theory. Would love to see it. Skeptical, though. Wedge Gravy. Monica Lewinsky is now a honeypot. Who controls the Clintons?
She was never hot.
That's true. That's true.
Just saying.
But I don't know. Is that a requirement for honeypot?
Yeah. For the connotation, I feel like.
It could
if you're
just
going to be
be
self-respecting, you should get taken by like a prime honeypot. 10 out of 10 Israeli.
Yeah, but I could also see like if you have access to a person you want to control and you are willing to do things to honeypot them, and the person is like a scumbag like Clinton is willing to do it, then hey, you don't have to be hot to be a honeypot.
That's fair. These people aren't normal.
It's probably just most common. Mighty Brush 68. I'm volunteering to be the male honeypot for APL, AOC, Kerry Lake, and Pam Bondi. You're welcome.
We will submit your name.
I'm glad somebody will fall on that sword for us. Angie K. Go to the hearing evidence from Florida. The flight logs were in the evidence years before Q. There you go. Ronnie 79. The honeypot article is the same as Patrick Byrne movie, The Enemy Within, that General Flynn produced, right? Or am I crazy? I don't know.
That's a good call on the flight log stuff, though. The Florida trial, the Florida hearing was where a lot of stuff did come from originally. Yeah. And there's the infamous video of, her name is escaping me, but people in the chat will know, the girl's attorney who infamously said Donald Trump helped with their investigation and answered their questions, etc.
Yeah, Banish a Shadow. Being a male honeypot simply means that you work for James O'Keefe. Oh, yeah. That's such a good... I got to find that video.
Well said.
What's that guy's name?
Man, there's like isn't there a skit like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to play it as the closing.
Like how much... Oh, yeah. It's
Don't
from
ruin
Ryan
it.
Long.
Don't ruin
Ryan
it.
Long comedy. I'm not going to ruin it, but if you were looking for the name.
I am looking for the name. Can you keep reading?
Patrick J17. John, what if the honeypot is 350 pound 6-year-old that does not bathe well? See you in Vegas, brother. 350 pound 6-year-old. Did you mean 60-year-old?
It's not Ryan Long.
It's the guy.
I know who you're talking about. This guy
his
looks like
friend.
him, but it's not him.
No. Wedge Gravy. Putin put out a statement about partnering with the USA for the Donbass region and its estimated $7 trillion in resources. Yeah. Joint projects. James Klain, you guys are great. Thank you. Patrick Beebe, I talked my wife into THC gummies. My life's been so much more peaceful. Make sure you tell her you love her every day for giving you that baby. Your wife is drugging you so you tell her you love her? Is what I got out of that? Dragonfly Sister, $25. Ding, ding, ding. Dastardly rocks. Rave Daddy, the FBI was designed to help states find criminals that cross state lines, so they need to be investigators only without powers to raid or arrest. That should be left to the states. Kneecap the FBI. Yeah, that could be a transformation we get behind. They can investigate, but they have no enforcement authority. Wedge Gravy, Canadians switching to the US dollar would drop inflation rates. Canadian dollar is down like 30% against the US dollar in the last couple weeks. What if the Bezos, Wedge Gravy, what if the Bezos...
Slow down in case I can't find this.
Okay. What if Bezos special Amazon pricing with the post office was his payoff and control?
Okay.
Who knows? Could be. Angie K, so what BB's saying? We funded both sides of a war. Anything new there? I'm just glad normies are finally seeing what we have said for 30 years. Actually, I'm not saying that. In this case, we only funded one side. We funded the side against Russia. We did not fund both sides. So no, this is a one-way. We attacked the Russian Federation.
I found it. Ash found it. Thank you, Ash.
She's a degenerate. That's why she was able to find it.
She's just always on the ball. She's MVP. Thank you.
Dragonfly Sister, $50. Now I have that season 1 song in my head. I'll have to watch seasons 2 and 3. Good stuff. True Detective. Dragonfly Sister, sorry that first link didn't work. If you want to play this one, it's in the opening song for True Detective season 1. Probably not going to play that, but it's good stuff. If you guys haven't seen it, Chris said in the chat earlier, that's got some of the most signal, info war, QOP, blah, blah, blah type of stuff in any mainstream thing. And Lions 54, John, try a tincture called Stonebreaker.
I just feel like this is the suffering I deserve for all the wrongs I've done at Badlands here. All the haters tell me I need to be suffering, and so this is what I get.
How many tinctures do you have?
Not enough.
Residents.
I have a few. Not enough.
Never enough.
Sather sent me some of his like methylene blue stuff.
He does have a lot of tinctures.
I do feel like smarter and clear-mindeder.
Yeah.
Because that's a word. But my tongue is blue after I take it for a couple hours. But it's worth it, I think.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, look how cheap that is. That was like $150 not long ago.
Now, here's my concern, Ghost. I don't see the Nerf brand on here, but I'm not up on the Nerf game. Where do you
X-Shot
stand
is
on
Nerf.
the brand?
I think X-Shot, it's compatible with the Nerf bullets.
Okay. Is it made? It's definitely not made in the U.S. I can guarantee.
Okay, but what is? But yeah, X-Shot is technically a different brand, but the bullets are compatible.
3.4. I don't know, Ghost. Let me see here. Trash made out of crappy plastic. The bullets feed into the gun but don't shoot out. My nephew was waiting forever for this present. Got it for Christmas. His dad put it together and it didn't work. Disappointing. And then no good. It doesn't work. Super disappointed.
I'm glad I didn't get that then. But I'll show you what I did get.
God. What is the world coming to? We should have a Badlands branded. We should just go into the Nerf business.
I agree. Totally agree. So I don't even know if these are going to work, but I thought it was hilarious. There's these
Ghost
grenades, like Nerf grenades. So cool. Like they shoot out little balls or something.
Oh, you don't have them?
No, they haven't shown up yet. But then I got this is the one that I'm thinking of using for some snipe action. Like that just looks cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then yeah, got all the kids like one of these things, so everybody will have a vest and glasses. And maybe I'll have them sign a waiver or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then we're gonna tell them all to bring like their own guns, but we're also getting them all little pistols, you know. So
right, we need
like
Trump to start talking about the Nerf industry and bringing it back, onshoring the Nerf industry.
And then, oh, look at this. 36 bucks.
I don't think kids should just
bullets.
walk off Nerf bullets. Like, how do you feel about that?
You think they should be more painful?
Yeah, I think there should be consequences to getting smoked in Nerf fights.
That's what BBs are for. BB guns.
No, not like permanent consequences, just momentary blips of pain.
You know, now I'm starting to wonder if these are.
Are you worried about
quality?
Compatibility?
Worried about quality.
Right.
Might have to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, did find, thanks to Ash, the video we're going to close out on. So everybody hit that thumbs up. Get your guard tickets. Make sure you tune in.
Friends with Ryan Long. That's what I was thinking.
Gotcha. His name's Danny, though. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. Daily Herald, 1 p.m. Eastern. But yes, this is what a male honeypot looks like right here. We'll see you guys later.
Hi there, my name is Mike Timlin, and up until a few days ago, I was a journalist working for Project Veritas. If you know about Project Veritas, then you know that they are willing to do whatever is needed to expose people that need to be exposed and expose the truth. What a lot of people don't realize about being a journalist with Project Veritas is that you have to do a ton of gay stuff, like a ton. It's so much, it's crazy. And sometimes you don't even get anything out of it. Sometimes it's just a dead end, and then you just did all this gay stuff. And I'm not even gay. I'm not against it, but I'm a happily married man, but I'm also a journalist. To get the biggest scoops, you got to go on a lot of dates, usually gay ones. And, you know, they're not giving up info until the third, fourth, sometimes even fifth dates. But you have had to get your boots dirty. And that means a whole lot of sucking, random dudes doing poppers. You're up till 6 a.m. just with tons of guys just getting banged out, all in the pursuit of truth. People don't know this, but 72% of all Pulitzer Prize winning journalists have done something gay to get that story. Most recently, I was actually the journalist who secretly recorded the Pfizer director spilling all his secrets about what they've been up to with COVID-19 and the vaccine. I cannot express to you enough how much depraved gay stuff I had to do on that first and second date in order to get him comfortable enough to come clean on that third date. Sometimes you're talking 7, 8 dates. And boy, at that point, you have done so much gay shit. You've been fucking, you've been sucking, you've been fucking their friends, you've been getting while they watch you, you've been getting cucked, sucked. Absolutely everything. So to all the young men out there who want a career in gotcha journalism, just let me tell you that you're going to have to do a lot of gay stuff. A ton. It's honestly crazy how much gay stuff you have to do.